Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're just going to do another ellipse that is centered at the origin, and then we're going to move the center of the ellipse somewhere else. Okay, so looking at this one, I noticed that the larger of the denominators is 81 and it's beneath the y. So that tells me that I'm going to have a vertical major axis. Okay. So it's going to be longer rather than short and squat. Okay, so the value for a squared is 81. Remember, a squared is always associated with the major axis. So a would be 9. Center still at 0, 0. Okay, remember that. B squared, 36. So b is 6. Just taking the square root. Okay. All right, now let's find our c squared. We're going to do a squared minus b squared. And it's always minus for ellipses, which is nice. Always minus. So we're going to do 81 minus 36. We get 45. Square root 45. Now, this is a decimal, so you're going to have to approximate. So let's take the square root of 45. And I know that's 3 radical 5. But that's not very easy to graph. So we're going to approximate as a decimal. 6.7. Okay. So with this particular one, we're going to write down the center, the location of the endpoints of the major axis, which are called vertices, the location of the endpoints of the minor axis, which are called covertices, and I just realized that I forgot to tell you that in the first video. I'm sorry. Then the foci, and then the directrices. Okay, so we're going to list down all that information. Okay, believe it or not, we have enough to graph. Okay, so let me get my. Okay, there's my axis. All right, so again, my center is at 0, 0. Okay, usually I graph first and then fill out all this information later. So center. Okay, I'm going to count out 9 up and down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So that's a vertice. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's another vertice. Probably should have made my graph a little bit bigger. Then covertices are going to be at 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm going to put a little CV by those. Very carefully. Okay. So vertices are going to be at 0, 9, 0, negative 9. Covertices, negative 6. 6, 0. Okay, let's find foci. So that's going to be 6.7 along the major axis from the center. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 6.7 would be about right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.7. Okay, so there's 2 ways you can write this. You can write it like this. Okay, now sometimes teachers, ingenuity, just folks will want it like this. It's the same thing. Okay. It's just, one's a decimal, one's a radical. That's it. Okay, now, so let's find the directrices. Okay, again, let's remind ourselves of the equation. So we're going to go D is equal to A squared divided by C. Okay, so that's going to be 81 divided by, we're going to use 6.7 just to make life a little easier. So 81 divided by 6.7, 12.1 with rounding. Okay, so your directrices are going to be at y equals positive 12.1 and then y equals negative 12.1. And I made my graph a little too small. So let's do a little extending. Remember, so it's going to be perpendicular to that major axis. So if that's 9, 10, 11, 12, 12.1, that's not very straight. And just like that. Okay, so that's not too bad. It is a lot though, but it's not bad. Okay, just kind of have to convince yourself that if you can count, you can graph an ellipse. Okay. All right. So let's try one that's not centered at the origin. So this is going to look very similar to a parabola. Okay. So let's just. Let's do not. I don't want to do 9. Let's do 4. Okay. All right. So what do you think? Where did the center move to? Use your instincts. Hmm. Well, this kind of looks like this, right? So I'm going to move my center right 3 and down 2, just like the parabola. Okay, so it kind of carries through, it makes it a little easier. So this one, let's see, who in what direction is our major axis? Well, it's still horizontal. Okay, so below the x-axis is always horizontal. So let's write that down. So our center is 3, negative 2. A squared is 16. A is 4. Okay, B, our minor axis is 2. Okay. Now, I'm not going to worry about the foci right now. We're just going to graph right now. Okay. Okay. So graph the center, 3 down 2. The little c there. Now we're going to count. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Those are my vertices. And then 4, radical 2, or excuse me, just 2, covertice. Covertice. Okay? Draw your ellipse. Okay? Now, let's write down what we know. I know that the center is 3, negative 2. Okay? Now, I know my vertices, and I'm going to look at the graph. Remember I just counted, is negative 1, negative 2. And then the other one is 7 down 2. Covertices. Is 3, 0. And then 3 down 4. Oops. Okay, so I know that. And notice how I'm counting and using the graph. Okay, to my advantage. Okay. So now what we're going to do is we're going to do foci. Okay. For foci, you need the c. So c squared, 16 minus 4, c squared, so 12, take the square root, which is 2 radical 3, or approximately, oops, 3.5. And you are doing a bit of rounding there. Okay, so I'm going to show you 2 different ways to write your answers. Okay, so again, major axis is horizontal, so the foci are going to be along the horizontal. 1, 2, 3.5. 1, 2, 2, 2. So the foci are really close to the vertices on this one. So foci. Okay, so if I'm going to write them out as a decimal, okay, that's about 0.5, negative 0.5, comma, negative 2. Okay, and then I counted right from the center, so I'm going to add 3.5 to 3, so 6.5, negative 2. Okay, so that's kind of like the counting way. So if I wanted to do the exact way, what I would do is this. Okay. So I'm adding and subtracting, okay, from the left. So that means from the x. So it would go 3 minus 2 radical 3, comma, negative 2. And then 3 plus 2 radical 3, negative 2. Those are the same things. I know they don't look the same, but they are. Okay? So now we're going to go for directrices. Okay? And I always forget the formula for directrices. Okay, so a squared over c. So we're going to go 16 divided by 3.5. Get your calculator out. 4.6. Okay, so that's going to be 4.6 from your center. And remember, it's perpendicular to the major axis. So 1, 2, 3, 4.6. So it's going to be oh, that looks really bad. Let's get rid of that. And there we go. So writing that down, it would look like this. Oops, that's not y, that's x. Sorry. So that would be, let's see, 3 minus 4.6. So that would be x equals negative 1.6 and x equals 7.6 for the director's seats. Okay, another way to write it, oops, is going to be x equals 3 minus, hold on, this is if you want to get like super fancy. This is keeping the radical. And if you simplify that, it's going to look like that. Okay, these all mean the same thing. Just one is exact and the other one is approximate. Okay, so I hope that was helpful. Bit long, yeah, takes a while to get used to. Okay, see you soon.